Scott Frost do it again at UCF after leading them to a quote unquote national championship season back when he was the head coach in 2016 and 2017. Went to the LA Rams for a year and now he's back in college football. We'll have to see if he can turn UCF around after a 4-8 season in 2024. The schedule, though, they have some difficult road games with Kansas State, Baylor, Texas Tech, and BYU, all some of the top teams in the conference. A lot of other games are going to be right around or a little under 50%. So it's not a very easy schedule for UCF, but comparatively to the rest of the Power Four, this is only a 4.5 out of 10 on the difficulty meter.
Starting the season off on a Thursday against Jacksonville State. Jacksonville State was the Conference USA champions last year and is losing a couple key guys from that team. But overall, if you still were a conference champ last year, you're still going to have a couple guys returning. So Jacksonville State is by no means going to be a pushover in this game against UCF. But considering it's the first game, it's at home for UCF, and they're going to have a bit of a quarterback battle in a wide receiver room that's going to be young and upcoming. I still think they'll be able to get the job done here, but only a 60% chance for the Knights. The following game, though, against North Carolina A&T, gonna be a really easy game for them. 100% chance here, even though they are losing RJ Harvey, who was their main offensive contributor last season, still going to be an 100% chance going into that very early bye week.
After that, going to be facing North Carolina at home. Big story this offseason is North Carolina after signing Bill Belichick to be their head coach. And I think this is going to be honestly a pretty easy one for North Carolina. Tar Heels, they're a more talented team than UCF, even though this one's at home. That helps out the percentage a little bit, but we still favor North Carolina here. Only a 40% chance for the Knights. Then it's a road trip to Kansas State, who we think is going to be one of the better teams in the Big 12. So not feeling too great, especially with Avery Johnson returning at quarterback. He's going to be really solid in that position for the Wildcats, and I think that Kansas State is going to be able to take care of business, especially at home. Only a 25% chance here for UCF. Then it's back at home to face Kansas. Can Jalen Daniels finally get things together and perform up to his full potential? That's going to be the story of the season for Kansas and whether or not they can actually make a run at the Big 12 championship. Regardless, I do think that Jalen Daniels is a really solid quarterback, even though he's going to be playing on the road. I do like him better. And I think that UCF is going to probably struggle a little bit in this one, probably not be able to put up quite enough points. Kansas will pull away at the end. Only about a 30% chance that UCF is able to win this one. Then it's a road trip to Cincinnati, and we're not super high on this Cincinnati team, but home field advantage is a factor here. Talent wise, I think they have a little bit of an advantage. So overall, we are going to give the edge to the Bearcats here, about a 30% chance for UCF. Then it's back at home again for West Virginia, who lost a ton of players to the transfer portal. I believe they brought in 38 and lost 53. So it's going to be a really interesting season for the Mountaineers. But we're going to go ahead and slightly lean towards them either way. I think it'll be a close game. We think the Mountaineers will just be able to edge it out on the road. Only a 40% chance for UCF.
Coming out of that last bye week to start this last stretch of 5 games, they begin with a road game against Baylor. Baylor is one of the teams in the Big 12 that we think is going to be a dark horse, maybe competing for that Big 12 championship game, going to cause a lot of chaos. And really, that is because Sawyer Robertson is back at quarterback for the Bears after a very, very solid season. Expected to be, in my opinion, a top five, maybe pushing top three quarterback in this conference based off of what we saw last year. So I'm really high on this Baylor team. I know Jonah is high on them as well, maybe not as high as I am, but I think with this being a road game for the Knights, it's going to be a tough one. Only a 30% chance for the Knights to get the win on the road. Following week, they are back home. A lot of back and forth between home and away games, but they're back home against Houston. Houston is bringing in Connor Wegman from Texas A&M to be their starting quarterback after he had some ups and downs and ended up getting benched for Marcel Reed. And he's expected to bring a little bit more life into this Houston program that has not lived up to some of their expectations that they had in previous seasons. A couple of years ago, they were actually one of the more dominant teams in the group of five, but after getting moved to the Big 12, they have struggled to reach that height once again. I think they're still a couple years off, but against a UCF team that is severely depleted, especially like I mentioned, losing RJ Harvey, who was their primary offensive output, I think this is going to be a tough one, even for them at home. Only a 40% chance for UCF here. Then they're back on the road once again to face Texas Tech. The Red Raiders, much like Baylor, are a team that we're very high on. We think that they are once again going to cause a lot of chaos in the Big 12. And this is the same thing as Baylor. I think with their experience, they're going to be the better team against this depleted UCF team. Only a 25% chance for the Knights. Then, probably one of their best chances to get a conference win is going to be home against Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State was one of the most disappointing teams in all of FBS football last season. Returning Ollie Gordon, who was one of the best running backs the previous season, and he fell flat. The rest of the team followed suit. This Oklahoma State team has a lot of potential to go winless in the conference, and this UCF game will be the determining factor. We're going to slightly favor the Knights here because they have the home field advantage, but this will be the fight to see who gets a not a conference win between these two teams. Then they finished the season off on the road against BYU. BYU returning Jake Retzlaff at the quarterback position after having one of the best starts in program history, but then starting to tumble down the stretch of the season, looking to right the ship a little bit and push for that college football playoff appearance. This being a road game with that returning production for BYU once again, since UCF is losing so much, it's only going to be a 10% chance for the Knights here. So Scott Frost has his work cut out for him.
Yeah, he definitely does. Looking at this schedule, I mean, I think they'll win the first two. Jacksonville State could potentially be an upset. Um, yeah, it's really tough after that. I don't really see them beating Kansas State or Baylor, Texas Tech, BYU, any of those on the road. When it all comes down to it, I think we're going to see UCF somewhere around 3 to 5 wins, probably 4-8 though.
Yeah, I think 4-8 is where we'll see them too. I think, like you said, those first two games, I feel pretty confident they can get the wins on. Jacksonville State is, like you said, a potential upset alert, but I think they can get the job done. The only two conference games I could really see them winning, actually three conference games, would be at Cincinnati, home against West Virginia, and home against Oklahoma State. I think Houston is probably going to get the better of them because I trust Weigman a lot more than whoever wins the battle for UCF. West Virginia, they could get the win because, like you said, they've lost so many people to the portal, and Oklahoma State has just been so bad last season. Cincinnati, I think Brendan Sorsby returning is going to be huge for Cincinnati, and I think that's going to get them the win there. But again, there's potential for UCF to get to 5 wins, but I think a bowl game is pretty much out of the question, and I think likely we're going to see this team go 4-8.
Yeah, which would be a repeat of last season as they went 4-8 in 2024 as well. The record projection just a little bit higher at 4.85 wins, but we're going to go under that with our 4-8 prediction, just like we were saying. Vegas, however, has the over/under at 6.5. Somebody's going to have to explain this one to me. I don't know if they're bullish on Scott Frost or what it is, but I mean, that's really the only explanation I can come up for why they have them favored to make a bowl game as of right now. I mean, like Connor was just saying, I really don't see it either. So we're gonna go with 4-8. Could be 5-7, but I completely disagree with Vegas on UCF being able to make a bowl game in 2025. So thank you guys for watching. Please make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in our next video.